Welcome, everybody. My name is Laurie Conrad. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I'm going to be going over the income maximizer formula. I learned this from Vince Reed a couple weeks ago. I was at Internet Traffic Live, his live event. It's the second time he's done it, the second year. It was held in San Diego, and we had about 2.5, 3 days of packed wisdom all day long from seven-figure earners in online marketing, people helping us learn how to get more traffic and leads, how to do podcasting, how to do virtual summits, how to do all kinds of cool things. But Vince actually opened up the event with this income maximizer formula, and I thought it was so powerful. I really wanted to pass on this info. And so that's what I'm going to do. Let me get right into it here. This was Internet Traffic Live, it was April 2015. We had an amazing time. I would really encourage you to go next year when he does it. I learned so much at this event. It was worth it, and I went VIP, and that was even better. But anyway, I'm going to get right into the income maximizer formula. What he had us do was take this chart and rate yourself from 1 to 10, 10 is being the highest, in the following categories, because these are the categories that, I've learned from a lot of different people that these are the things that we should all be doing to grow our business. What is your influence and your network? How big is your network? How much influence do you have on those people? Number two, how consistent are you in creating value for people, being present, in social media, being present in teaching people, giving value, that kind of thing, being there for your team. Number three, marketing and spending. How much do you spend on your marketing? Rate yourself 1 to 10. What is your skill level? 1 to 10. In your marketing, whatever marketing methods you choose, and list size. How big is your list? So just rate yourself from 1 to 10, and I'll give you a couple minutes to do that, or you can pause this video and just do it. That way we can just move right along. So pause the video, rate yourself, total up your score, and come right back. So based on your personal opinion, if you gave yourself a 0 to 3 in any of the categories, give yourself 1 point for those. If you gave yourself 4 to 7, then give yourself 2 points. And if you rated yourself an 8 to 10 in any of the categories, give yourself 3 points for that category. And once you add it up, we're going to look at what your score means and how Vince sees the scores. So here is how we add it up. He actually called this training How to Build a 7-Figure Home Business in 3 years or Less, because that's what Vince has done with his business, and he knows exactly how he did it, and he knows exactly how to tell all of us to do it. So after all the 5 categories were evaluated, calculate the sum of your 1s, 2s, and 3s. So if you gave yourself 1 point, say in all of the categories, if you're a new person, you're new in marketing, you'd have 5 points, and that means you're probably making less than $1,000 a month in your business. If you have 7 to 8 points, you'd be somewhere between $1,000 and $10,000 a month. 9 to 10, 10,000 to up to 100,000, and then 11 to 13, 100 to up to $1 million, and then or a year, sorry, not per month, per year, I should say. And then 14 to 15 points is $1 million a year. So that was a real eye-opener for me. Most of us that did this rated ourselves much higher than we really are, and how much we're making compared to how many points we gave ourselves. So then what he did was he explained why he considers 0 to 3, 1 point, 4 to 7, 2 points, and 8 to 10, 3 points. So if you got 8 to 10 for all the categories, you would have 15 points and you'd have $1 million a year business. But, most people do not. So let's move on and go over how he explained, how he determined, if you have 0 to 3 points, what does that really mean? So He gave the example of what a three-pointer would be. So don't get bogged down in this because, depending on where you are, you're not on the cusp probably of being $1 million earner per year. So what he did was he just wanted to explain what it takes to actually get there. So if your goals are, $100,000 a year or $200,000 a year, just focus on what the skills are, what the things are to focus on, and then, move forward in your own business the way you want to do it. But what he said was, for example, number one, in influence and network, 3 points. In order to get 3 points, you would have earned 7 figures, you would have hosted or spoken at events, you have a huge Rolodex, and you get 200 plus people on a call or a webinar. In fact, I'm going to actually go to the next slide and show you my notes so that you can kind of follow on as we do this. I'm going to try and hook up my pen too. Just give me 1 second here so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so here we go. These are a little blurry, but, all right, wait, there we go. These are a little blurry, but these were my notes from the talk that he gave. So influence and network right here, okay? So 3 points, you would have earned 7 figures, you would have hosted or you speak at events regularly, you have a huge Rolodex, and you get 200 or more people on a call or a webinar. So, if you're in the 1 point range, you haven't done any of those things probably. In the 2 point range, maybe you've been asked to speak at an event. That could be. Your Rolodex is growing, and maybe you can get 50 or 100 people on a call or a webinar, right? So just keep it all in perspective. So number 2, he talked about skill level, okay? He said, 3 years in your skill level, and 3 of these. You've invested a minimum of 10K in your skills, learning your skills. That's probably either with a coach or with some kind of trainings or whatever. You do have a specialized skill, and you have 10 or more testimonials or success stories where you've helped people, excel in that skill too. So that would be a 7-figure earner. That would be $1 million a year earner, He said how to build a 7-figure home business in 3 years or less. So, he's done it in about 3 years, and so he's giving you the wisdom of his experience. So then consistency. He also said, it would probably take about 3 years, but you definitely host a weekly or monthly webinar for your team. You have a team meeting every week or every month. You post valuable content all the time, and you communicate with your list all the time. That's something that we all can do no matter what level we're at, and that is what's going to grow your list, grow your influence, and grow your skill level, actually. So those are things that we should all be doing. You have to be consistent. This is one of the most important things for all of us to do as online marketers, and building our business, building our team, is just being consistent. And I'll give you some tips too on what he said about that. So number 4, your list size. In order to be a 7-figure earner, you would have more than 25,000 people on your list. That would give you 3 points. 5,000 to 25,000, 2 points, and less than 5,000 people, you get 1 point. You'd have to have a minimum open rate of 7%. Okay, this was very useful to know these numbers. A lot of times people just say, build your list, but then they don't tell you, how to measure if your list is good or not. And the guideline there is that you want people on your list that actually open your emails and want to read your emails. It doesn't matter how big your list is if they don't open, excuse me, your emails. Okay. And then number 5, marketing and spending. There are a lot of people out there that want to do free marketing methods. Free marketing methods are okay, but they're not really free because you're spending your time to do them. And when you actually do paid advertising, you can grow your business much faster. So if you're spending between $1 and $2,500 a month, that was 1 point. 2,500 to 10K a month, 2 points, and over 10K a month would be a 7-figure earner, and they're spending that on their marketing. And there's all kinds of cool ways to learn how to use actually your paid advertising to actually be free. And that's like a whole nother webinar, but I can teach you how to do that. If you do paid PPC, but then there's a way to do it so that you're actually, all the money that you're putting into your PPC gets paid back to you through some of the low cost tripwire products that you sell. But I can tell you about that another time. Okay, so that was the guideline for the point system. Now, this is what Vince was talking about for how to get better. You know, if you're a 1 or a 2 or a 3 in any of the categories, we all just need to know how to get better and how to keep, you know, improving and growing and, you know, building our business. So influence and network. Definitely attend live events. There is something so powerful about the relationships that you build when you go to live events. And that, yes, they cost money, but you have a business. You have to get out from behind your computer and actually get to know people, because you'll get to know people that you can JV partner with, that you can mastermind with, and just grow. So going to events is so powerful, and all the notes you take at your events, all those notes are uncashed checks, because everything you learn, you can do a video on, you can do a blog post, you can post it on Facebook, you can share that knowledge, and people will, you know, your influence and your network is going to grow that way because people are seeing that you're growing, you're learning, and you're sharing all that info. So don't pitch your deal. You know, it's all about giving value. You always, always make it about them. You know, growing your business is not about you. It's about the people that you're helping. It's about them. It's about the people that need what you have to share with them. And so always have that mindset that it's about them. Getting pictures with leaders so that you know, people know that you're actually associating with people who are successful and know what they're doing, and that you're learning from those people. You know, a great strategy is buy them a drink and then, you know, chat with them, talk to them. And an even better strategy for one of, you know, a marketing leader to take notice of you would be buy their product, get a positive result from their product, make a video testimonial of it, and then send it to them, you know, and give them credit and say, you know, I really loved your training. It was really great. And my biggest takeaways were 1, 2, 3, and I appreciate the value you gave so much. That person is actually, you know, they're going to be happy that what they did had, you know, a positive influence on you, and they're going to probably remember your name and, you know, create that relationship with them. So skills are the only thing that's going to grow your business. You know, just selling products isn't what's going to make you money and make you happy. Growing your skills is what's going to make it all work. So it's really important to find what you really like to do as fast as possible so that you're excited every morning about what you're doing. You know, you're not like, oh, I have to learn this, I have to learn that. You know, don't chase the money for the money, because it never happens long term. That's usually why most people quit, because they're chasing the money for the money and it's just not meaningful enough. You know, it doesn't feel good. So when you find what marketing method, whether it's video, whether it's blogging, in some way, shape, or form, you're sharing your knowledge, right? And you can do it so many different ways. You can do Facebook PPC, but when you're doing that, you're actually going to be leading with value anyway. You're going to be leading with some kind of a lead magnet that's going to be sharing knowledge with people. And you got to find what you like, what you're excited about and what's fun for you. And everybody has failures, which are really just a learning process. That's really all it is learning and getting better. We can use the word failure, but if you spend $100 on pay-per-click and it does absolutely nothing, that is a learning process. That's not a failure, but that's why people will quit. I've seen so many people do this. They'll say to me, I tried pay-per-click and it doesn't work. Well, it definitely works. It's just that you have to figure out if your headline is working, if your ad is working, you have to change your copy or your image or people won't click on it, So it's not about failure. It's definitely about learning. Definitely find a mentor or a coach, because trying to do this on your own is so painful. It's just so painful, and it doesn't need to be that way, because you can find a good coach or a good mentor, whether you have to pay them or you just happen to have a really good upline that, is a leader and teaches and has weekly, webinars and team calls and helps you to develop. Either way, you've got to find somebody. And actually, another piece of advice I would give you is only pick one or two, because if you have more than one or two coaches or mentors, you're going to get confused, because they'll tell you this to do the same thing, but maybe in a little bit different way. And then you're going to be like, oh no, should I do it this way or should I do it that way? And they'll be very similar, probably, if they're a good coach and they know what they're doing. But then you just get confused. So just follow one yellow brick road, just follow one. Don't try and take too many, or you just get messed up and confused. Excuse me. Focus on creating testimonials and the money will come. You want to help people get results, and then their testimonials are going to help you grow your team, grow your business, grow your influence, and just grow all the way around. So when you focus on other people, it's the magical way of success. It just is. Okay, so consistency. Pick one thing that you will commit to doing once a week forever. You're in this for the long haul, right? You're not here you're not going to just make $1 million and then quit or whatever. You're in this for the long haul. Even if you're working, if you're working towards a 4-hour work week, right? Tim Ferriss's book, which is, I love that book. You want to be creating that freedom, and you want to be creating the money to get that freedom, but you've got to be able to pick one thing that you really like to do once a week for a really long time, so that you're really consistent. And that could be blogging, it could be video, it could be both, do a video and put it on your blog. That's even better. It could be your ads. It could be anything. Encourage your team even to hold you accountable. Get an accountability partner. I have a couple different accountability partners. We talk 1 to 3 times a week and say, what are you going to commit to do by Wednesday, and that kind of stuff. Because, when you work alone on a laptop from your house, you're not in an office where there's that synergy of people saying, what have you gotten done today, and that kind of thing. And then start with a 30-day calendar, check it off each day, and hold yourself accountable and look at your progress and give yourself a win and, some kind of reward at the end of that 30 days and say, wow, I did it. Or do a 90-day video challenge or something like that. Okay, number 4, build your list. This is so important. Everything is about building that list, because your influence and your network is in that list. Those are real people in there, real people that need help, that want to hear what you have to say. And of course, Vince says join MITS, and I would say that too, because MITS helps you learn how to generate traffic and leads for your business, how to get better at being a marketer, and I'll show you how you can do that at the end of here, but this isn't about that, so I just want to go over the notes that he talked about. Pay attention to why you subscribe to other people's lists and model what they're doing, right? So if there was an ad that you clicked on to get a lead magnet about some particular topic, you know, why did you subscribe? Why did you get on that person's list? Do what they're doing, you know, just follow success. Follow success, model it, don't copy it. Don't copy people's stuff, but you can definitely model what they did and duplicate their efforts, you know? You don't need to reinvent the wheel. The things work and leaders figure out what works and you can follow what they're doing. Advertise and market your business with forever in mind. Don't think of it like, oh, I'm going to try this and see if it works. That's you know, that's like a recipe for quitting. You have to really commit and say, I'm going to make this work. I'm really going to make it work and I'm going to do it for a long time. And I'm, you know, going to pick something I enjoy and share it with a lot of people. And then Vince is always talking about what is your marketing DNA. When you become a real marketer, someone who's consistent, someone who has real skill, someone who has grown their influence in their network, it becomes part of your DNA. You start marketing in your head all the time, you know, not to be obnoxious to anybody or anything like that, but it just becomes who you are, and you just start thinking headlines in your head when you're like walking down the street. I mean, it's really cool. And you're just finding ways to give more value to people, grow, you know, who you are as an entrepreneur, who you are as a human being, and it's a really great ride. So that was how to get better. Those were the 5 categories. And so I showed you my notes. So we went over all of this, and I'm glad I'm actually keeping to my time here, I think. I didn't want this webinar to go on and on for a long time. I know it's Saturday. And so that's really everything that Vince shared with us. And if you'd like to take a look at MITS, My Internet Traffic System, you can go to successwithlaurie.com and you can opt in, and Vince will send you his 7-day free video series that shows you what MITS is all about, how to get traffic and leads. He gives you a bunch of ideas for how to get traffic and leads for your business. And you can always call me too. That's my number there, 860-463-9040. And my email, Laurie@laurieconrad.com. You can definitely just contact me if there's any other way that I can help you, or if you have any questions on what we just went over. If you have any questions now, you can put them right into the question box there, the chat box, and I'd be happy to answer them. I'll just give everybody like 1 minute to type something in if you have a question, and I'm happy to answer it. Otherwise, we're good to go. This was, I think, a perfect way for him to start the event, because it gave everybody a really great framework for what you really need to be doing specifically in order to grow your business, you know, to a 6-figure business, to a 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure business. And knowing that you need, you know, 25,000 people on your list in order to get those 3 points, that's really important, you know. Just about everybody in the room had overrated themselves on that, you know, on the maximizer formula. So I'm recording this, so I will send everybody who registered for the webinar the recording, and so you can watch it as many times as you need to. And I appreciate everybody coming. I don't see any questions in the box. So definitely go to successwithlaurie.com and you can see what My Internet Traffic System is all about. And if there are no more questions, I'm going to let you go. And I want you to have a great Saturday. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much.